The conference room on Earth felt too small. Ambassador Chen Wei looked at the 7 alien representatives sitting across the long table. Each one came from a different world. Each one had lived for hundreds of years. Each one looked at humans like children who did not understand the rules. The Valorian commander stood first. His blue skin seemed to glow under the lights. His 4 arms moved as he talked. His voice was deep and strong. We have come to explain the preservation protocols. These are old laws, very old, older than your planet's history. They keep the galaxy safe. Chen Wei nodded. She had read about these laws. Every new species in the galaxy had to follow them. No exceptions. A Kresh delegate spoke next. Her scales made soft clicking sounds when she moved. Her yellow eyes never blinked. Your species is young. You have only just learned to travel between stars. We have watched you for 50 years. We have seen your wars. We have seen your violence. You are not ready for military power in space. What does that mean? Chen asked. She kept her voice calm. Inside, she felt angry. Humans had stopped fighting each other decades ago. They had united. They had built peaceful colonies on Mars and Europa. The Thessian representative spoke. She looked almost human except for her silver hair that moved by itself. Her voice was soft but cold. It means you cannot build warships. You cannot make weapons for space travel. You can build ships for trade. You can build ships for moving people. You can build ships for mining and research. But no weapons. No military vessels. This is the law, and if we refuse? Chen asked. The Valorian commander pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed a fleet of massive ships. Hundreds of them. Each one was bigger than anything humans had ever built. This is 1% of the coalition fleet. We do not want to use force, but we will protect the preservation protocols. Young species cannot be trusted with military power. History has taught us this lesson many times. Chen looked at the hologram. She thought about Earth. She thought about the colonies. She thought about the 50 billion humans living across the solar system. They had no way to fight this fleet. We understand, she said finally. We will follow the preservation protocols. We will build only civilian ships. The aliens seemed satisfied. They stood to leave. The Valorian commander stopped at the door. Your people will grow to understand. The protocols exist for good reasons. They keep peace. They prevent wars. They save lives. One day, perhaps in 1,000 years, humans may be ready. But not today. When the aliens left, Chen sat alone in the dark room. She felt tired. She felt helpless. She pressed a button on her communicator. Admiral Kovacs, this is Chen. The meeting is over. They gave us no choice. A woman's voice came through the speaker. Admiral Sarah Kovacs had been waiting for this call. Did you sign? Yes, we had no choice. Their fleet is too powerful. There was silence on the line. Then Kovacs spoke again. I have been talking to some people. Engineers. Shipbuilders. People who think differently. They have ideas. What kind of ideas? The treaty says we cannot build warships. It says we cannot make military vessels. But it does not say what we can put inside civilian ships. It does not say how strong we can make them. It does not say how we must design them. Chen felt something new. Hope. That is dangerous talk, Sarah. They will be watching. They have monitors at every shipyard. Let them watch. We will follow every rule, every single word of that treaty. We will build colony ships. Big, beautiful colony ships. Ships that can carry thousands of people to new worlds. Ships with thick hulls to protect against radiation. Ships with powerful engines to travel far. Ships with strong reactors to provide energy. All perfectly legal. All perfectly civilian. Chen understood. A slow smile appeared on her face. How long will this take? 5 years. Maybe less. I have someone you should meet. His name is Marcus Webb. He is the best engineer I know. He has been drawing plans since the first day the aliens arrived. 1 week later, Chen met Marcus Webb in a secure room deep under Luna City. The moon's capital was the perfect place for secret meetings. Webb was young, maybe 30 years old. He looked tired, but his eyes were bright with energy. He showed her holographic blueprints. They showed a massive ship. It was labeled as a Pioneer-class colony vessel. This is beautiful, Chen said, but I see only cargo holds and living spaces. Webb smiled. He pressed a button. The hologram changed. The cargo holds opened to show weapon batteries. The reactor room showed multiple fusion cores. The hull showed hidden armor plates. The treaty says we must build civilian ships. So we build civilian ships, ships that can become something else when needed. Everything will be modular. Everything will have dual purposes. The aliens will see cargo holds. We will know they are weapon bays. The aliens will see communication arrays. We will know they are targeting systems. Chen looked at the plans for a long time. Finally, she spoke. They said it was impossible to build warships under their watch. They said we were not ready. Let us prove them wrong. 5 years passed. The galaxy watched humans with careful eyes. The Galactic Coalition sent monitors to every human shipyard. They checked every blueprint. They inspected every new ship. They found nothing wrong. Humans followed the treaty perfectly. They built colony ships. They built mining vessels. They built cargo haulers and research platforms. Every ship passed inspection. Every design was approved. The Coalition monitors sent reports back to their commanders. Subject species shows full compliance with preservation protocols. No military technology detected. All vessels are civilian grade. But something strange was happening. Humans were building more ships than any other species in the galaxy. Much more. Mars Orbital Construction became the largest shipyard in known space. It orbited the red planet like a small moon. Thousands of workers lived there. Hundreds of ships were under construction at any time. The Pioneer-class colony ships were massive. Each one was 3 kilometers long. They could carry 10,000 colonists and all their supplies. The Coalition had never seen civilian ships so large. Commander Thelvas was the Valorian inspector assigned to Mars Orbital. He had been doing this job for 200 years. He had inspected thousands of ships from dozens of species. He knew every trick. He knew every way to hide weapons, but these humans confused him. He stood in the construction bay looking at the newest Pioneer-class ship. Marcus Webb stood beside him. Webb was older now. His hair was gray at the edges, but his eyes still had that same bright energy. This reactor seems very powerful for a colony ship, Thelvas said. His translator made his words sound flat and cold. Webb nodded. We need power for the journey. These ships will travel to the edge of known space. The colonies will be far from any help. They need to be self-sufficient. The reactor provides power for life support, manufacturing, farming, everything. Thelvas walked to another section. And these modular cargo sections. Why so many? Flexibility, Webb said. Different colonies need different things. One colony might need farming equipment. Another might need mining tools. Another might need medical supplies. The modular design lets us customize each ship for its destination. We can swap sections in just a few hours. The Valorian inspector made notes on his datapad. And this asteroid deflection system. It seems excessively powerful, Webb smiled. Space is dangerous, Commander. Asteroids, comets, debris. A colony ship carries 10,000 lives. We cannot take chances. The deflection system can track and destroy any object that threatens the ship. Better safe than sorry. Thelvas looked at the system. It looked like weapons. It had targeting computers. It had high-energy projectors. It had automated tracking. But technically it was legal. The treaty allowed defensive systems against natural hazards. He finished his inspection. Everything was legal. Everything followed the treaty. But something felt wrong. These ships were too well designed, too efficient, too powerful. That evening, Thelvas sent a report to the Coalition Council. Human shipbuilding continues at unusual pace. All designs are compliant with preservation protocols. However, I recommend continued monitoring. Human engineering shows high level of sophistication. Ships are built to excessive specifications for civilian use. Recommend caution but no action at this time. The Council read the report. They discussed it briefly. Then they filed it away. Humans were following the rules. That was all that mattered. Meanwhile, on the dark side of Luna, in facilities hidden from Coalition sensors, other work was happening. Admiral Kovacs walked through a secret laboratory. Scientists and engineers worked at their stations. They were not building ships here. They were building weapons. A young engineer named Park showed her the latest development. It looked like a mining laser, but Park explained how it could be modified in minutes to become a cutting beam weapon. Another device looked like a cargo launcher, but it could fire tungsten rods at incredible speeds. Everything was designed to have two purposes. Mining equipment that could become weapons. Communication systems that could become sensors. Power systems that could overcharge for combat. All legal. All civilian, but ready to transform. How many ships are ready? Kovac asked. Park checked his data pad. 47 Pioneer-class vessels have launched. They are at colonies across human space. Each one has the modification packages hidden in their cargo holds. The colonists do not know. The ships look exactly like what they are supposed to be. But when the time comes, they can transform in less than 4 minutes. Kovac nodded. Good. Let us hope we never need to use them. But hope was about to run out. The Kresh Empire was watching too. They were one of the oldest races in the coalition. They had ruled their part of space for 3,000 years. They were strong. They were proud. And they were hungry for expansion. Kresh Commander Zelthar looked at maps of the galaxy. Human colonies were spreading fast, too fast. They were claiming worlds the Kresh wanted. Rich worlds. Worlds with minerals and water and perfect climates. The humans had no warships. They were protected by the preservation protocols. But the Kresh had been looking for an excuse. They wanted those worlds, and they were about to take them. Zelthar smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed in the light of his command center. Send the fleet to New Harmony. That colony has the richest mineral deposits in this sector. The humans will not fight. They cannot fight. The coalition will complain, but they will do nothing. By the time they organize a response, New Harmony will be ours. The Kresh war fleet prepared to move. 23 heavy cruisers. Each one was a kilometer long. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. They had never lost a battle. They did not expect to start now. At New Harmony Colony, people went about their daily lives. They did not know a fleet was coming. They did not know their world was about to become a battlefield. They worked in farms and factories. Children went to school. Families had dinner together. In orbit, 3 Pioneer-class colony ships floated peacefully. They looked like gentle giants, big and slow, built for carrying people, not for fighting. But inside those ships, crews were training, waiting, ready. They knew this day might come. They had prepared for 5 years. Every crew member knew their role. Every system had been tested in secret. Captain Maria Santos commanded one of the ships. She sat in her chair on the bridge. Her crew worked at their stations. Everything looked normal. Everything looked civilian. But under her command chair was a hidden panel. Inside that panel was a red button. That button would activate the transformation protocols. That button would turn her colony ship into a warship. She hoped she would never need to press it. But her hand rested close to it, just in case. The Kresh fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Harmony system. 23 warships, coming to take what they wanted. Coming to teach humans a lesson about their place in the galaxy. They thought it would be easy. They were wrong. The Kresh fleet moved through the New Harmony system like sharks through water. Commander Zelthar sat in his command throne, watching the displays. His warships spread out in attack formation. Perfect. Professional. Unstoppable. The human colony appeared on the sensors. One small settlement on a green and blue planet, a few orbital stations, and 3 large ships in high orbit. Colony ships, his tactical officer reported. Pioneer class. No weapons detected. Zelthar laughed. Of course no weapons. Humans are not allowed weapons. Open a communication channel to those ships. The channel opened. Zelthar spoke in the common galactic language. His voice was cold and hard. Human vessels, this system now belongs to the Kresh Empire. You will evacuate all personnel from the planet within 1 solar cycle. If you resist, we will destroy you. You have no military ships, you have no defenses, comply or die. On the bridge of her Pioneer-class ship, Captain Santos heard every word. Her crew looked at her. They were scared, but they were also angry. This was their home. These people below were their families and friends. Santos took a deep breath. She opened a channel to the other 2 ships. Captains, activate Protocol Omega. Time to show them what we really are. She reached down and pressed the red button. Alarms sounded through all 3 ships. Red lights flashed. Automated systems came to life. The transformation had begun. The modular cargo sections began to separate. Large panels slid aside. What the Kresh had thought were simple storage containers opened like flowers blooming. Inside each container were weapon batteries. Railgun arrays extended from the hulls. Missile tubes opened. Point defense turrets rotated into position. The asteroid deflection systems that Thelvas had questioned now showed their true purpose. They were targeting computers, advanced sensors, fire control systems. The reactor cores that seemed too powerful for a civilian ship now pushed energy to weapon systems. The thick hull armor that was supposedly for radiation protection now activated additional layers. Defensive shields came online. In 3 minutes and 47 seconds, 3 peaceful colony ships became 3 warships. On the Kresh flagship, the tactical officer shouted in alarm, "Commander, the human ships are changing. I detect weapon systems." "Multiple weapon systems, how is this possible?" Zelthar jumped from his throne. "Show me." The display showed the 3 human ships. They no longer looked like gentle giants. They looked like predators. Weapons bristled from every surface. Energy signatures showed multiple active power systems. The sensors showed enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. "This is impossible," Zelthar whispered. "They cannot have warships. The treaty forbids it." His tactical officer was already working. "Commander, they are targeting us. Multiple lock-ons. They are preparing to fire." Santos spoke over the open channel. Her voice was calm but cold as ice. "Kresh Commander, you said we have no warships. You were correct. These are not warships. These are Pioneer-class colony vessels. Completely legal, completely civilian. They just happen to have a few extra features. Now leave our system, or we will show you what human engineering can really do." Zelthar's pride would not let him retreat. He had never run from a battle. He commanded 23 heavy cruisers. 3 human ships could not stop him. All ships. Attack formation. Destroy those vessels. Show these humans their place. The Kresh fleet charged forward. Their weapons powered up. They prepared to fire. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. The human ships did not fight like the Kresh expected. They did not follow the traditional battle patterns that every galactic military used. They did something different. Something the galaxy had never seen. They swarmed. Each human ship launched hundreds of small drones. The drones were tiny. Each one was barely bigger than a person. But they moved fast. They moved in coordinated patterns. They attacked from every direction at once. The Kresh weapons were designed to fight other large ships. They could not track the small, fast-moving drones. The drones flew between the Kresh cruisers, firing small but accurate weapons. Each hit was tiny. But there were so many hits. Then the human ships opened fire with their main weapons. Railguns launched tungsten rods at incredible speeds. The rods hit with the force of meteors. They punched through Kresh armor like it was paper. One Kresh cruiser exploded, then another. The humans used missiles next. But not normal missiles. These missiles split apart as they flew. Each one became 10 smaller missiles. Each smaller missile had its own targeting system. The Kresh point defense systems could not stop them all. Zelthar watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. Ships exploded. Systems failed. Crews died. In 10 minutes he had lost 8 cruisers. 8. The humans had not lost a single ship. How? How is this possible? They are just colony ships. They should not be able to fight. His tactical officer was panicking. "Commander, we need to retreat. We cannot win this battle. Their tactics are too different. Our systems cannot adapt." Zelthar made the hardest decision of his long military career. "All ships, retreat. Fall back to the jump point. Emergency faster than light. Travel authorized." The surviving Kresh cruisers turned and ran. They jumped to faster than light speed as fast as their engines could manage. They left behind debris. They left behind escape pods with survivors. They left behind their pride. Of the 23 ships that had attacked New Harmony, only 15 escaped. 8 cruisers destroyed. Thousands of Kresh warriors dead. The Kresh Empire had not suffered such a defeat in 300 years. Captain Santos sat back in her chair. Her hands were shaking. Her crew was cheering. They had won. Against all odds, they had won. But she knew this was just the beginning. The whole galaxy had just learned the truth. Humans had warships. hidden in plain sight, built under the noses of the Coalition monitors. She opened a channel to Admiral Kovac on Earth. "Admiral, this is Santos. New Harmony is secure. The Kresh fleet has retreated. But Admiral, they know now. Everyone will know." Kovac's voice came back strong and steady. "Good. Let them know. Let the whole galaxy know. Humans were not allowed to build warships." They said it was impossible to hide weapons from Coalition inspectors. We proved them wrong. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Every species heard the story. The humans had defeated a Kresh battle fleet with colony ships. The species that was supposed to be weak and peaceful had just shown teeth. The Galactic Coalition called an emergency meeting, the council chamber filled with angry voices. How had this happened? How had humans built warships without anyone noticing? Who was responsible for this failure? Commander Thelvis stood before the council. He felt shame. He had inspected those ships, he had approved them. He had seen nothing wrong. But now he understood. The humans had not broken the treaty. They had followed every rule. They had built exactly what they said they would build: colony ships. The weapons were technically modifications. The ships could still carry colonists. They could still do everything a civilian ship should do. The humans had not lied. They had just been very, very clever. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had stood up to an empire. They had won their first battle. They had shown the galaxy that humans would not be pushed around. But Admiral Kovac did not celebrate. She knew the hard part was coming next. The Coalition would respond. They would be angry. They would demand answers. And humans would have to explain how they had outsmarted the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. The Coalition Council met in emergency session. The great chamber on the capital world was filled with representatives from 100 species. They were angry. They were scared. They felt betrayed. The Valorian High Commander spoke first. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "The humans have violated the spirit of the preservation protocols. They have built weapons. They have hidden military vessels as civilian ships. This cannot be allowed. We demand they surrender these ships immediately." The Thessian ambassador stood next. Her silver hair moved like living metal. "We propose immediate sanctions. All human colonies must be isolated. All trade must stop. If they do not comply, we must use force. We cannot let this deception go unpunished." But not everyone agreed. A representative from the Peaceful Meridian Collective spoke. His voice was quiet but firm. "Did the humans actually break the treaty? I have read the preservation protocols very carefully. They say primitive species cannot build warships. But these ships are registered as colony vessels. They can carry colonists. They can perform civilian functions. The weapons are modifications, yes, but the treaty does not forbid modifications to civilian ships." The chamber erupted in argument. Some species wanted war. Others wanted negotiation. Everyone wanted answers. Finally, the council decided. They would send a fleet to Earth not to attack, not yet, but to demand surrender of the disguised warships. If humans refused, then the Coalition would blockade Earth and all human colonies. The enforcement fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. 50 capital ships from a dozen different species. It was an impressive show of force. They moved toward Earth slowly, deliberately. A message of overwhelming power. On Earth, Admiral Kovac watched the approaching fleet on her command center displays. She was not alone. Ambassador Chen Wei stood beside her. Marcus Webb was there too, and representatives from every human colony. "They are demanding we surrender all 47 Pioneer-class vessels," Chen said. "They say we must disarm them completely. They say we must allow Coalition monitors on every ship, every station, every facility." Kovac shook her head. "We cannot agree to that. We followed their rules. We built civilian ships. If they try to take them away, they are breaking their own laws." Webb was working at a computer. "Admiral, all 47 ships are ready. They are taking defensive positions around our colonies. We also have the mining stations armed. The cargo haulers are prepared. Every communication satellite can become a sensor node. If they want to fight, we can give them one. But can we win?" Chen asked. 50 capital ships. We have never fought such numbers before." Kovac looked at the displays. She thought about all the preparations. All the secret work. All the years of building and planning. "We do not need to win. We just need to make them think twice. We need to show them that humans are not easy prey. Open a channel to the Coalition fleet. The channel opened. Kovac spoke directly to the Coalition commanders. This is Admiral Sarah Kovac of Earth Defense Fleet. You have come to demand we surrender our ships. I am here to tell you we refuse. We have broken no laws. We have violated no treaties. We built exactly what the preservation protocols allowed us to build. If you try to take our ships by force, we will defend ourselves, the Coalition commander replied. He was a Valorian named High Admiral Kethvar. His voice was hard but cautious. You deceived us. You pretended to follow the law while hiding weapons. This is not honorable. This is not acceptable. Kovac smiled grimly. You imposed laws on us without asking. You decided we were too dangerous, too violent, too unpredictable. But you never tried to understand us. You never asked what humans need. We need to protect ourselves. We need to defend our homes. You denied us that right, so we found another way. A legal way. A clever way. If that makes you angry, perhaps you should have written better laws. The tension was enormous. The Coalition fleet moved closer to Earth. They took up positions around the planet. On the Moon. Near Mars, they surrounded the human homeworld. But then something else happened. Something no one expected. Warning alarms sounded across the solar system. New contacts were appearing on sensors. Many new contacts, coming from deep space. Coming fast. Webb checked the readings. His face went pale. Admiral, we have incoming ships. Unknown configuration. Unknown signatures. They are not Coalition. They are not human. And there are hundreds of them. The Coalition fleet detected them too. High Admiral Kethvar's voice came over the channel. He sounded shocked. All ships, battle stations. Those are Void Reavers. How is this possible? They have not been seen in this sector for 1,000 years. The Void Reavers. Even humans had heard stories about them. They were the nightmare of the galaxy, an ancient enemy that appeared from the darkness between stars. No one knew where they came from. No one knew what they wanted. They attacked civilizations. They destroyed worlds. They took resources and vanished back into the void. The Coalition had fought them before. Thousands of years ago, the Coalition had barely won. Since then, the Reavers had stayed away. Until now, the Reaver fleet was massive. 300 ships. Each one was black as space itself. They moved in perfect coordination. They targeted both the Coalition fleet and Earth. They see us as weak, Kovac said quietly. The Coalition fleet is here. We are arguing with each other. They think we are easy targets. Chen looked at her. What do we do? Kovac made a decision. She opened the channel to High Admiral Kethvar again. High Admiral, we can continue our argument later. Right now we have a common enemy. The Reavers do not care about our politics. They will destroy all of us. I propose a temporary alliance. Let us show these ancient monsters what happens when humans and the Coalition work together. There was silence on the channel. Kethvar was making the same difficult choice that Zelthar had made. But Kethvar was wiser. He had lived longer. He had seen more wars. He saw that humans were not the enemy. Not today, agreed Admiral Kovac. Temporary alliance. We will coordinate our forces, sending tactical data now. Let us see what your unconventional tactics can do against the Reavers. The two fleets moments ago ready to fight each other, now turned to face the true threat. Human ships moved into formation with Coalition vessels. The 47 Pioneer-class warships spread out. The mining stations powered up their hidden weapons. The cargo haulers loaded their railguns. The Void Reavers came closer. They did not slow down. They did not send messages. They just attacked. The battle for Earth was about to begin. And this time, humans and aliens would fight side by side. Commander Thelvas stood on the bridge of his cruiser. He looked at the tactical displays. He saw human ships moving in strange patterns. He saw swarms of drones deploying. He saw weapon systems he had inspected years ago, now fully activated. He had called humans unpredictable. He had called them dangerous. He had been right. But perhaps that unpredictability was exactly what the galaxy needed. The Reavers opened fire first. Dark energy beams lanced through space. They hit Coalition shields. They hit human armor. Ships on both sides took damage. Then the combined fleet answered. Coalition ships fired their traditional weapons. Powerful but predictable. The Reavers had fought them before. They knew how to defend, but then the human weapons struck. Swarms of small drones that the Reavers could not track. railgun rounds moving at speeds that made dodging impossible, missiles that split into smaller missiles that split again into even smaller missiles. The Reavers had never fought humans before. They did not know human tactics. They did not understand human creativity, and it was going to cost them. The battle raged for hours. Space around Earth became a storm of fire and metal. Ships exploded. Debris flew in all directions. Both sides took heavy losses, but slowly the combined fleet began to win. The coalition ships fought with discipline and power. They had thousands of years of military experience. They knew how to hold formations. They knew how to concentrate fire. They were the hammer. The human ships fought with creativity and chaos. They broke every rule of traditional space warfare. They attacked from unexpected angles. They used weapons in ways no one had thought possible. They refused to follow any predictable pattern. They were the storm. Together, they were unstoppable. Captain Santos commanded her Pioneer-class warship in the thick of the fight. Her ship had taken damage. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Weapon systems at 60%. But they were still fighting. She coordinated with a Valorian cruiser. The cruiser drew fire while her ship launched drones. The drones swarmed a Reaver destroyer. While it tried to shoot down the small targets, the Valorian cruiser hit it with heavy weapons. The Reaver ship broke apart. The same pattern happened across the battlefield. Coalition ships and human ships working together, learning from each other, adapting to each other's tactics. Commander Thelvis watched in amazement. His ship flew beside a human cargo hauler that had been converted to a weapons platform. The humans used their ship to block incoming fire, while his cruiser charged its main cannon. When ready, the human ship rolled aside and the Valorian weapon fired, destroying a Reaver heavy cruiser. He opened a channel to the human ship. Human captain, that was excellent coordination. Your tactical flexibility is impressive. The human captain laughed. Thanks, Commander. Your big guns sure do make a nice boom. Let us do that again. The Void Reavers began to realize they were losing. They had expected an easy victory. They had expected the coalition and humans to be fighting each other. Instead, they faced a united force that combined traditional military power with unpredictable innovation. The Reaver command ship tried to break through to Earth. If they could destroy the human homeworld, the humans would collapse. But Admiral Kovac had predicted this. Every mining station in the asteroid belt opened fire at once. Hundreds of railguns launched tungsten rods. The rods came from all directions. The Reaver command ship's shields failed. Its armor cracked. Its systems went dark. Without their command ship, the Reaver fleet began to retreat. They had lost over 100 vessels. They had gained nothing. This was not worth the cost. The remaining Reavers jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished back into the darkness between stars. The battle was over. The combined fleet had lost ships too. 20 coalition vessels destroyed. 5 human Pioneer-class warships lost. Thousands of crew members dead on both sides. But they had won. Earth was safe. The colonies were safe. In the aftermath, there was silence. Then slowly, communications opened between the ships. Coalition crews and human crews talking to each other, thanking each other, respecting each other. High Admiral Kethvar requested a private channel with Admiral Kovac. Admiral Kovac, that was the most unusual space battle I have seen in 300 years of service. Your tactics were chaotic, unpredictable, and completely effective. I understand now why the preservation protocols worried about your species. You do not fight like anyone else. You do not think like anyone else. Kovac smiled. Is that a complaint, High Admiral? No, it is a compliment, and perhaps an apology. The Council was wrong to restrict you so severely. You proved today that you can use military power responsibly. More than that, you proved you can be trusted as allies. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Coalition Council met again. This time, humans were invited to speak directly to the full assembly. Ambassador Chen Wei stood at the podium. Behind her stood Admiral Kovac and Marcus Webb. The council chamber was packed. Every species wanted to hear what the humans would say. Chen spoke clearly and firmly. Honored members of the council, 15 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous to be trusted with warships. You told us we were too violent, too aggressive, too unpredictable. You imposed the preservation protocols on us without asking what we needed or what we wanted. You were not entirely wrong. Humans are different from most species in the galaxy. We do think differently. We do approach problems from unusual angles. We do not always follow traditional patterns. But these differences are not weaknesses. They are strengths. When you forbade us from building warships, we found another way. We built civilian ships that could become warships when needed. We did not break your laws. We just interpreted them creatively. You said it was impossible to build warships under coalition monitoring. We proved you wrong, but we did not prove you wrong to spite you. We did it to survive. We did it to protect our families and our homes. Every species has the right to defend itself. You denied us that right, so we took it anyway. 3 weeks ago, the Void Reavers attacked. They saw our solar system as divided and weak. They thought they could destroy us easily. But instead, they found humans and coalition forces fighting side by side. They found traditional power combined with unconventional tactics. They found something they could not defeat. Chen paused. She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces watching her. The preservation protocols were designed to keep the galaxy safe, but they also kept the galaxy weak. You forced new species to stay defenseless. You made them depend on you for protection, and when a real threat appeared, you were almost too late to respond. Humanity requests that the preservation protocols be abolished for our species. We have proven we can use military technology responsibly. We have proven we can fight alongside the coalition as equals. We have earned the right to defend ourselves, and more than that, we offer partnership. Human engineering combined with coalition resources could create new weapons, new ships, new defenses. The next time the Reavers attack, we could be even more ready. The chamber was silent when she finished. Then High Admiral Kethvar stood. He spoke to the entire council. I support the human request. I fought beside them against the Reavers. I saw their courage. I saw their innovation. I saw what they can do when given the chance. The preservation protocols served their purpose, but it is time to recognize that humans are ready. They are more than ready. I recommend full membership in the Galactic Coalition, with all rights and responsibilities. One by one, other species stood to support the motion. Not everyone agreed. Some still feared human unpredictability, but most had seen the battle. Most had heard the reports. Most understood that the galaxy needed allies like humans. The vote was called. It was not unanimous, but it was clear. The preservation protocols were lifted for humanity. Earth and all human colonies were granted full membership in the Galactic Coalition. No restrictions, no monitors, no limits. Humans were free to build whatever they wanted, and they would build it alongside their new allies. 6 months later, the first joint human coalition shipyard opened in orbit around Jupiter. Engineers from a dozen species worked together. They combined human innovation with alien technology. They designed new ships that were better than anything either side could build alone. Marcus Webb oversaw much of the work. He was older now, his hair completely gray, but he still had that bright energy in his eyes. He stood with Commander Thelvas looking at the blueprints for a new class of ship. What do you think, Commander? Webb asked.
Can we make this work?
Thelvas looked at the design. It had Valorian shields and human weapons. It had Thessian sensors and human tactic systems. It had coalition power and human creativity. I think we can make something incredible, Thelvas said. Something the galaxy has never seen. You humans taught us that following the old rules is not always the best path. Sometimes you need to think differently. Webb laughed. Took you long enough to figure that out. On Earth, people looked up at the stars with new eyes. They were no longer outsiders looking in. They were part of the galactic community. They were equals. They were respected. Admiral Kovacs retired from active service. She had done her job. She had protected humanity. She had earned them their place in the galaxy. Now she could rest, but she did not rest much. She became an advisor to the Coalition Military Command, teaching them about human tactics, about thinking differently, about breaking rules when rules do not make sense. Ambassador Chen Wei became the first human representative on the Coalition Council. She worked to change other outdated laws. She argued for more freedom. She pushed for innovation over tradition. Not everyone liked her, but everyone respected her. Years passed. The galaxy changed. The Coalition became stronger. New alliances formed. New technologies were developed. And at the center of much of this progress were humans. The species that had been considered too dangerous to be trusted with weapons became the species that helped defend the entire galaxy. The species that was told they were not ready became the species that brought new ideas when old ideas failed. Captain Santos, now Admiral Santos, commanded a joint human coalition battle group. Her fleet patrolled the frontier regions. They kept watch for any sign of the Void Reavers returning. They protected new colonies. They responded to threats. One day, she received a transmission from a young colony on a distant world. The colonists were scared. Unknown ships had appeared in their system. The colonists thought they were going to be attacked. Santos smiled. "Do not worry. We are on our way. This is what we do now. We protect, we defend, we stand together." Her fleet jumped to faster than light speed. Human ships and coalition ships together. Different species, different worlds, but one purpose. The galaxy had said humans were not allowed to build warships. The galaxy had said it was impossible. The galaxy had been wrong. Humans had proven them wrong. And in doing so, humans had shown the galaxy something important. Rules are meant to keep order. But sometimes rules need to be questioned. Sometimes impossible just means no one has tried hard enough yet. And when humanity is told something is impossible, humanity hears a challenge to be creative, a challenge to think differently, a challenge to prove everyone wrong. The coalition had tried to limit humanity. Instead, they had given humanity a reason to excel. They had forced humans to be clever. They had made humans prove their worth, and humanity had done exactly that. They had built warships in plain sight. They had hidden weapons as tools. They had followed every rule while breaking every expectation. They were told they were not ready. They proved they were. They were told they were too dangerous. They proved they were exactly dangerous enough. They were told it was impossible. They proved them wrong.